The wind screamed across the glacier, slicing through layers of fleece and wool like it had a mind of its own. Maya pulled her scarf tighter around her face, squinting through the white curtain that swallowed everything beyond 10 feet. Every step forward felt like pushing through water. Cold, heavy, endless. "Eli, stay close," she shouted, but her voice barely carried. Her brother trudged a few paces behind, head down, who'd pulled over his earbuds. The trail was gone. There, GPS blinked a mocking red. Signal lost. The snow thickened. Even their boot prints vanished in seconds. No markers, no path, just a frozen nowhere. Maya's legs ached. Her breath caught in short, icy gulps. They had to find the ranger shelter soon, or stop altogether and risk freezing. She looked back. Again, Eli. "I'm coming," he snapped, eyes rolling, lips already chapped from the cold. But even his sarcasm had lost its bite. They were both scared. Neither of them wanted to say it. "Let's turn back," Eli said suddenly, planting his feet. "We should have never come out here." Maya clenched her jaw. "We're closer to the shelter than the car. Going back now is just as risky. You don't know that. I do. You always think you do." She didn't answer right away. His words stung more than they should have. The cold was fraying their nerves, sure, but it wasn't just the snow between them. There were other things they hadn't said for months. She'd dragged him out here. A reconnect trip, she called it. Something to fix the silence that had grown between them since Mom died, since Maya had moved out, since the hospital shifts and the heartbreak had left her numb. But maybe she hadn't just lost her spark. Maybe she'd lost Eli to the boy, who used to follow her around the house like a shadow. Now he barely looked at her. She adjusted the strap of her pack, trying to shake the guilt. The real weight wasn't what was on her back. It was everything she hadn't said. He barely looked up from his phone, even now, searching for a signal, posting old videos on his story like everything was fine. But Maya had seen his fingers trembling. When he tried to zip his jacket earlier, he was scared. He just didn't want her to see it, and that made two of them pretend. A deep, hollow howl suddenly cut through the blizzard. They both froze. It wasn't the wind. It had rhythm, pain. It lingered. "What was that?" Eli whispered, yanking one earbud out. Maya scanned the swirling white. "Wolf," she offered, uncertain. But something inside her disagreed. It hadn't sounded wild. It sounded desperate. Another howl echoed, closer this time. Their look. Maya pointed through the storm, just ahead, barely visible. A dark figure slumped near the edge of a snow-covered crevasse. At first, it looked like a fallen tree or a rock. But it shifted. A slow, low movement. Alive, they approached cautiously. The shape didn't move much, just enough to show it was still breathing. Maya's chest tightened. Something was wrong. "Let's go," Eli said, backing away. But Maya stepped forward. She didn't know why. Logic told her to turn around. The storm was getting worse. The shelter was still far. And this was someone else's problem, maybe a ranger's. But she couldn't move away. Something about that shape, about the howl, pulled at her. Not just curiosity, something deeper. Recognition, maybe, or memory. She took another step forward, heart pounding. As the shadow finally lifted its head, two eyes met hers. Not pleading, not afraid, waiting. The moment Maya met those eyes, the cold seemed to shift. Not warmer, not safer, but sharper, like the world had narrowed to that one locked gaze. She didn't breathe, neither did the dog. It lay half submerged in snow, its fur crusted in frost, sides rising in shallow, uneven breaths. A German shepherd, large male, muzzle graying, not wild, but not tame either. Eli hovered behind her. Is it alive? Maya nodded slowly, eyes never leaving the shepherd's. The dog didn't move, didn't growl, just stared, steady and still, not afraid, not pleading, watching. As they moved closer, the full picture came into focus. The shepherd's front right paw was pinned beneath a sheet of fractured ice, stained dark where blood had seeped and frozen. His entire body shook, not violently, but with the controlled tremble of something holding itself together by will alone. "Oh my God," Maya whispered, crouching instinctively. The dog didn't flinch. His eyes followed her, alert, focused. His back legs twitched with effort, not to escape, but to stay upright. Eli pulled his hood tighter. That's not normal. He should be barking, or trying to bite. He's exhausted, Maya said softly. Or trained. Eli took a step back. Maya, we don't know this dog. What if it's feral? What if it has something? Maya didn't answer. Something in her chest had already answered for her. The eyes, the stillness. The way the dog had. Made no move, not in fear, not in threat, just enduring. Like it had been waiting for help, or for the end. Maya dropped to her knees beside the shepherd. Maya, Eli said again, voice thinner now. The storm's getting worse. We don't even know how far the shelter is. I know, she said quietly, but I can't walk away. As she reached out with her gloved hand, the dog released a low growl. Eli jumped. See, it's dangerous, but... Maya held still, reading the growl like a nurse reads a monitor. It wasn't a warning. It was painful. A warning not to the world, but to itself. Don't move. Don't trust. Don't hope. I know that sound, Maya whispered. It's what people make when they're trying not to cry. She moved slowly, her fingers brushing the icy fur. The dog didn't pull away. She reached into her pack and pulled out a small folding tool, not made for rescues, but it would have to do. She began digging. The ice was dense, stubborn. Each strike echoed in her wrist and through her bones. The cold bit harder as her gloves soaked through. Her breath fogged in sharp bursts. You're going to freeze your hands, Eli said, crouching beside her now. His defiance drained too. Concern, I can't leave him like this. A pause, then a quiet, I know. Together, they worked Eli, breaking the slush around the edges, while Maya chipped away at the thickest parts. The dog didn't resist. Just watched, endured. Finally, with one last crack, the chunk of ice broke free. The paw slid out, bloody and swollen, but no longer pinned. Maya dropped the tool, chest heaving. Her fingers burned with cold and adrenaline. The dog didn't leap away, didn't bark. Instead, he slowly tucked his leg beneath him and lowered his head into the snow. Not in fear. In relief, Eli leaned in to help her adjust the scarf around the dog's neck when he paused. There's a tag, he muttered. Maya looked. Around the shepherd's neck, mostly hidden beneath matted fur, was a worn military dog tag. Scorched along one edge, the text faded. Only a few characters were legible. A -9... Something Eli said, voice unsteady. Is that a real military tag? Maya didn't answer, because she already knew the answer. She looked at the shepherd again, not as a dog, but as a soldier, and something inside her shifted. The next morning, the storm had weakened, but the wind still whispered across the glacier like it remembered how to scream. Maya adjusted her backpack and looked down at the shepherd limping beside her. He didn't whine, didn't slow, just kept pace, step for step, as if walking was part of his duty. Eli said nothing, hands stuffed deep in his coat. The silence between them was less jagged now, not healed, but softer. They moved forward as three now, not two. Every so often, Maya glanced down. The dog's breath puffed in small clouds, and he occasionally winced when he stepped too hard on the injured paw. Still, he never fell behind. At their first rest stop, Maya opened a protein bar, broke off a piece, and held it out. The shepherd stared at it, then at her, then slowly turned his head away. "He doesn't trust us," Eli said flatly, sitting on a snow-dusted rock. "No," Maya replied, watching the dog lie just a few feet away, body facing them. "But he's not walking away either." And that meant something. The dog didn't need to follow them. Yet he did. At night, he stayed nearby, not close, but never out of sight. His silence wasn't cold. It was loyal. They were navigating a narrow slope when the shepherd froze, ears alert. Maya instinctively said, "Stay low." The dog immediately crouched. She blinked. "Down," she testified. He obeyed again. Eli turned to her. "He's trained." "Yeah," she murmured, a chill prickling her neck, and not from the cold. She tried, "Come." The dog rose, stepped forward. "Okay." She whispered, "Not just trained, military trained." The dog's behavior wasn't a coincidence. It was discipline, muscle memory. He hadn't forgotten his commands. He hadn't forgotten who he used to be that night. Maya woke up gasping, a hospital hallway flashing in her mind, screaming, blood, monitor flatlining. She sat up, chest heaving. The wind rattled outside the tent. Then a shift. The shepherd had moved. He now sat inches from her, not barking, not growling, just watching. Grounded, she whispered, "It's okay. Just a dream." But he didn't move away. Instead, he slowly lay down beside her, his side pressed gently against her shin. Anchoring her, she exhaled for the first time in months. Her hands stopped shaking. Later, as the fire crackled low, Maya looked at the dog resting a few feet away. "You're not just any dog," she murmured. "You're more ghost than flesh. Always there, always watching." The name came naturally. "Ghost," she said softly. The dog's ears twitched. Then, without getting up, he opened one eye, and for the first time, Maya smiled. "Yeah, I think that fits." The next day, a bridge that should have crossed a deep ravine lay in twisted ruin. The map showed no other safe route. "Guess." "We test our luck," Maya muttered. They made their way down the slope, boots crunching into loose gravel, snow beginning to fall again. The trail thinned. One wrong step meant a plunge into white dot. Maya went first. Eli followed carefully. Ghost brought up the rear, limping but alert, scanning everything like a soldier on patrol. At one point, Maya lost footing and braced herself against the cliff. Ghost barked once, sharp, intentional, making Eli freeze. "You okay?" Maya called. Eli nodded, barely. They moved forward again, slower now, more careful, together. Midway through the trail, Eli hit a patch of hidden ice. His boots slid out from under him. He flailed, arms grabbing at air, about to tumble down the slope. Ghost barked, loud and sudden. Eli froze, mid-fall, managing to throw himself flat against the ice. His chest heaved. His fingers clutched the ground. Maya scrambled back toward him. You good? He nodded, breathless, then glanced at Ghost. He warned me. Ghost stood still, tail low, gaze locked on Eli. A bark that saved a life. Not just noise, communication. That night, Eli sat beside the fire, silent. His scraped hands rested on his knees. Red and raw, Ghost approached slowly. Not from behind, not suddenly, but gently, deliberately. Eli froze. Ghost lowered his head and licked Eli's scraped knuckles. Once. Then again, Eli didn't move. Then, slowly, he extended his hand. Ghost sniffed it, then lay down at Eli's side. No words passed between them. They didn't need any. For the first time, Ghost ate from Maya's hand. No hesitation, no turning away. Later, as the three curled near the fire, Ghost edged closer. Not just to Maya, but to Eli, too. When Maya stirred in the night, she found the shepherd curled between them, his body forming a protective wall, tail resting across Eli's feet. Trust wasn't instant, but it was building. One breath at a time, the morning brought new footprints, not theirs. Maya crouched beside them. Too big to be human, she whispered. And fresh Ghost growled, low, steady, and stared into the woods. His body tensed. Maya felt it too, that eerie stillness in the air, like something was near. Watching, let's move, she said, not daring to look over her shoulder again by midday. The snow had calmed. That's when they heard it. A low mechanical whir far above. Maya looked up, a helicopter too distant to identify, but circling, searching. Ghost stood still, eyes narrowed. His ears twitched. Something in him remembered this sound. His body dropped to a crouch. Not fear, readiness, alert, as if whatever was coming wasn't new, but returning. They created the ridge just before dusk. The ranger station loomed in the distance, squat, weather-worn, half buried in snow. Relief flickered in Maya's chest. A door, shelter, maybe even help, but as they stepped through the broken doorway, the cold inside hit differently. Still, hollow, abandoned. Glass littered the floor. A shattered window screamed softly with each gust of wind. No one's been here in weeks, Maya murmured. Eli stepped carefully over an overturned chair. Maybe longer. Ghost sniffed the corners, but didn't bark. Instead, he sat by the door, watching Dot, always watching in the back office. Eli found the radio. Battery's still alive, he said, adjusting the frequency knob. Static crackled. Maya stood behind him, arms crossed. Just try local emergency channels. Don't give our exact coordinates yet. Eli nodded. Hello, is anyone there? This is a voice cut through, deep and precise. Identify yourselves. Are you alone? Eli's eyes lit up. Yes, we're stranded. That's when Ghost stood. He let out a deep, sudden bark, then another. He lunged toward the table, snarling. Maya's heart leaped. Eli, stop. She grabbed the switch and cut the call mid-transmission. The room dropped into static silence. Eli backed away, startled. What the hell? But Ghost was still barking, pacing, growling toward the dead radio like it had teeth. Maya stared at the equipment. Her pulse throbbed in her ears. Ghost knew something. That voice, he recognized it. From where? I don't know, she whispered. But we shouldn't have called. The office had one intact drawer. Eli pulled it open. Inside folders. Yellowed, torn. Government tissue, stamped, classified in fading ink. Should we? Eli asked. Maya hesitated, then nodded. He flipped pages, articles, reports, dozens of pages about combat animals, experimental training programs, canines bred for advanced missions, then labeled unstable. One report caught his eye. Project Titan Canine Division, shut down after multiple failures. His hands began to shake. He held up a photo clipped to the final report. A younger German shepherd, fresh fur, sharp eyes, standing next to a man in fatigues. On the collar, Alpha 9, Ghost, Eli whispered. It's him. Below the photo, someone had scrawled in pen, unfit for reacquisition. Maya's breath caught. He hadn't just been abandoned. He'd escaped, outside. The wind shifted. Crunch, crunch. Boots, heavy, deliberate. Maya moved to the window. Her breath froze in her throat. Figures, 5, maybe 6, dressed in black, armed, moving like they knew exactly what they were looking for. She turned. Eli grabbed the pack, quietly. Ghost had retreated into the darkest corner of the room. Not in cowardice, in calculation, but he was shaking. Maya knelt beside him. His eyes darted toward the window. His body tense. Ghost, she whispered. What are they? He didn't look at her, but she saw it, the fear. Not for himself, for them. Footsteps neared the front of the station. A voice outside barked orders. Maya's mind raced. She looked at Ghost. To Eli, she could give him up. Say he ran. That they found him like this. That he wasn't theirs. But she didn't move. Instead, she whispered, "Come on," and motioned toward the back exit. Ghost didn't hesitate. They slipped into the dark, cold forest. Eli behind her, Ghost ahead. Snow crunched underfoot as they darted between trees, deeper into the woods. Maya couldn't see more than 10 feet ahead, but Ghost never stopped, never paused. His path was purposeful, like he knew every rock and dip by memory. He's been here before, Eli said. Breathless. Ghost moved in perfect silence, like he was retracing the steps of an old escape, or leading them into safety. The sounds of pursuit grew louder, shouting, boots pounding. They were near the forest's edge when Ghost stopped. Eli grabbed Maya's arm. They're catching up. Ghost turned toward them, and then walked forward. Alone, Maya stepped after him. Ghost. He turned briefly, just once, and in his eyes she saw something final. Not surrender, sacrifice. Ghost vanished into the trees. Seconds later, voices followed, then shouts, crashes, barking. Silence. Maya stood frozen, hand over her mouth. Eli trembled beside her. He led them away. Maya fell to her knees. He had made a decision, not out of instinct, out of love, she whispered. He saved us again. And in the bitter cold, the absence he left behind burned hotter than any flame. The ranger search team discovered them 3 days later. Maya and Eli were huddled beneath a rock outcrop, cold and sleep-deprived, but alive. Eli clutched the side of Maya's jacket like he had when he was 5. She hadn't seen him cry since the funeral. Now, he didn't need to. They said Ghost had likely died in the storm. They said survival was miraculous enough. Maya nodded, silent. She let them think what they wanted, because the truth that he had led the danger away, not run from it, was too sacred to share. Ghost was gone, but not forgotten. Back home, the house didn't feel like home. It was quieter, not peaceful, hollow. Maya moved through the days with mechanical grace. Laundry, groceries, emails she didn't answer. Eli barely touched his phone anymore. No sarcastic remarks. He sat by the window most days, sketching in an old notebook he used to hate. Neither of them said it aloud, but Ghost's absence was a presence all its own. Maya would wake some nights thinking she heard his soft footfalls on the tile, or the sound of breath at the bedroom door. But it was only memory. It was late afternoon when it happened. Maya was walking along the tree-lined path behind their neighborhood trail, trying to escape the quiet of her own mind. The leaves crunched under her boots. A breeze carried the smell of cold pine and dry earth, then dashed clear, sharp, unmistakable, a bark. She froze. Not just any bark. Hi, she turned around slowly, heart pounding in her throat. At the edge of the trees stood a battered figure, ribs visible. Beneath shaggy fur, one leg favoring the others. But those eyes, Ghost, she whispered. He didn't move, didn't need to. Maya dropped everything and ran. Ghost stayed where he was, as if giving her the choice to come to him like always. But when she fell to her knees and threw her arms around him, he didn't flinch. He didn't pull away. He leaned in. The growl was gone. The tension gone. Only trust remained. He licked her cheek once, then rested his head on her shoulder. Her tears hit the fur just above his collarbone. I knew, she whispered. I never stopped knowing. Everything changed after that. Maya left the hospital job she had clung to for years. Burnout wasn't the right word for what she felt anymore. It was a rebirth. She started volunteering at a local animal rescue, quietly tending to the ones too scared to be touched. Ghost would lie at her feet while she worked, calm and patient, letting the others learn from his silence. Eli started therapy, not forced, not nagged. His first session, he brought Ghost with him. The therapist said they made more progress in that hour than most kids his age made in months. Healing didn't come all at once. Some days, Eli still shut down. Some nights, Maya still jolted awake, heart racing. But Ghost was always there between them. A bridge. He'd nudge Eli's hand when he retreated. Lay beside Maya when she lost herself in old grief. And over time, the words came back. The laughter. The long drives with no destination. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were growing. It was nearly midnight. Maya sat on the porch steps, wrapped in an old blanket, staring at the stars. Ghost lay beside her, his breathing slow, steady. She reached down, ran her fingers gently over his ears. You saved me too, she whispered. He looked up at her with eyes that understood far more than words. Then he rested his head on her feet, eyes closing not from exhaustion, but peace. And for the first time in a long time, Maya felt safe, not because the world was perfect, but because the heart beside her had chosen to stay. The ink flowed slowly from Maya's pen. She sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor. Ghost lying beside her, his head resting on her ankle like a stone warmed by the sun. The journal was old, leather-bound, something she hadn't touched since the accident, but tonight felt right. Her handwriting was a little shaky at first, but the words came anyway. Some scars don't make us weaker, she wrote. They show where we were strongest, where we refused to break. She glanced down at Ghost's side, the healed gash beneath his fur, still pink in some spots. She laid her hand gently over it. We matched, she whispered, didn't we? Ghost didn't stir, but he didn't need to. Outside, wind brushed the trees like an old lullaby. Inside. Maya closed the journal slowly, her fingers lingering on the cover. She thought about how Ghost had never asked for trust. He'd earned it by watching, waiting, showing up in the silence between breaths. No grand gestures, no wagging tails, just presence. That's what love looked like sometimes. A quiet presence in the dark. Not a rescue from it. Ghost had protected them, not because he was trained to, but because he chose to. And that choice, over and over again, was its own kind of love. One with teeth and loyalty and sacrifice. One that didn't arrive with flowers or music. But I stayed. She had thought she'd saved him that day on the glacier, but now she saw the fuller truth in digging him out. Of the ice, she'd uncovered something buried in herself, the will to hope again, to risk again, to love again. Ghost didn't just survive the snow, he pulled her out of it. To dot not the white and frozen kind, the kind that settles in your chest when you stop believing things can change. That snow had melted. To dot later that night, Maya opened the door to let Ghost out one last time. But he didn't go far. He just sat beside her on the porch, eyes scanning the night, ears relaxed. No leash, no command, just trust. She reached out and brushed her fingers across his back, and together, without a word, they watched the stars come out. Two souls that had once been lost in the storm, and found each other in its wake.